Hey guys, all right, let's get the show on the road. Oh boy. So, yeah, they dropped some more altar stuff just before the patch went up. Isn't that lovely? Damn it. Yeah, mana. It is gonna be hell. I just wanted to go to bed at a reasonable hour. Especially after rebuilding my PC. God, that was a night. I still haven't gotten my sleep back from that. I was up until like 3:30 in the morning getting that functioning again. Anyways, we're here now. So let's crack 'em. We'll do the welfare, then we'll do the gacha content, and then we'll look at the alterations. I'm not looking forward to it. It's cool that the Nu-Zeon and the F91 2, F91, no, it's just the F91 came back. So yeah. Well, see where we go from there, yeah? I don't have school tomorrow, so I can watch the whole thing. Yeah, enjoy the suffering along with me. Okay, Hien coin. We'll start off with the Schwalbe Graze. Right, somebody actually pointed it out to me in my Discord after the video went up. But the Schwalbe Graze isn't actually an upgraded Graze, it's an upgrade of the prototype of the Graze. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. It was a lot of the a lot of these suits, whenever there's like a high mobility version or whatever, are always an upgraded variant of the base suit. So it's really weird to find one that wasn't. Okay, anyways, Graze, let's get cracking. And it is the McGillis variant. It was blue. There was really no other choice on that one. Alright, stat distribution wise, it's a welfare head. It's not really, it's not bad, it's not good. I'd say it's actually like pretty much middle for a welfare head, which is actually nice to see. So limited alterations. I'll double check. I'm assuming they are because both of them are build projects, but as we see with other build projects, those aren't. But due to what they are, I'm assuming that. We'll see. I'll get there. While Commander, recover 10 armor gradually. So, alone, right, just on its own, the suit sits at 752 armor. Heads are not typically the beefiest part of the suit. That's typically the torso, which sits anywhere from, on most suits, anywhere between 1100 and 2000, sometimes higher. 10 armor gradually. It's nothing. It's literally just nothing. Moving on. Commander Force base tags. Force base has very little use. Commander depends on, I guess, the build that you're running. It is like a high firepower tag, but it's on less of the higher end part. So it's definitely more of a sub slot kind of tag. Aesthetically, the part's nice. Yeah, it's a welfare part, pretty much is what it boils down to. It's not good, it's not bad, it's middling. So, hey Tyrant, thanks. With speed attribute, enemy EX skill power reduced by 25%. All right, this is really good for a support part. Here's the thing, right? When you look at reducing enemy abilities or stats, whatever. You have enemy EX skill power, you have enemy melee, enemy shooting power, and I don't know if we have one for a special shot, or I know we have them, I'm pretty sure we have them for crits. Anyways, regardless, the meat of most damage comes from EX skills. So if you manage to get the enemy EX skill power reduced to 100% on a single suit, you've effectively neutered everything. You no longer need to have a melee and a shot counter, because you now reduce the enemy's EX skill power to 0. You only have to deal with neutral attacks, which they hurt, but it's so minimal that it doesn't really matter. That will free up an extra spot, or depending on your suit, if you have a fully alterated suit like all the way down the board, you may not have the cost to run 2 additional suits. So just having the 1 additional that reduces the enemy's EX skill power by 100, you're ace. Of course, you know, you do you. If you want to have 1 for melee and 1 for shot, absolutely go for it. But I think the EX skill power is the better overall, just because it covers both bases, and that is where all our damage comes from these days. So anyways, neat torso. Stat distribution wise though, we're looking at about, that's what, 240, 250-ish or something like that. So just under 1k melee, just under 1k shot. For welfare, that's not bad. Oh. Neat torso. I would definitely pick it up, just if anything for support. I can download GBGW on Chromebook. Probably, because Chromebook runs like a modified Android OS, doesn't it? I can't remember. I used to know this, but it was a long time ago. Wire Claw CD. Well, we're not even breaking into the B power territory, so no, that's going to be a pass from me, dog. Stat distribution wise, oh, we're looking at some actually relatively decent shot attack on these, breaking over 1k. For a welfare, that is relatively rare to see, so nice. Still suffers from the same tag issue, but honestly, I would look at this as something that if you lack any other stat options, this may be a good front piece. Then you subslot something that gives you a good EX skill, a good trait, something like that. For shot machines, for melee machines, the stats on this are pretty much like mediocre. You could grab like almost any other welfare arm, more or less be the same, unless it was a shot focused welfare. But 4-star pig tickets blow these out of the water. Well, blows most welfares out of the water, so it's kind of not fair to say. Legs. Outfighter Job, a melee crit rate boosted. I've talked about melee crit rate and shot crit rate a ton of times. I don't think it's the best thing to kind of invest into, because you're then relying on RNG for that trait to actually activate and do something. At getting the flat boosts like shooting power boost or EX skill power boost, cooldown reduction, those things that are always active and you don't have to rely on RNG for them to trigger, I think those are the better investments. But if you want to go for a 85% crit build, go for it. You can actually, I think you could probably break 100 if every single part had a crit. Stats, so the melee will break 1,000 on this. The shot attack is going to be pushing up at about, what, that's like 600 or something. So not good, not bad. Again, it's middling. It's interesting. It's definitely an interesting set of legs. Aesthetically, I still think like this entire suit's just really cool. I wouldn't say these really stick out. They're a most of the suit actually kind of like an average welfare. I just really like the torso's EX skill, so, or trait, I should say, not EX skill. I'm big dumb. Don't mind me, guys. When will we get our 1500 Haro back? Read the announcement. Somebody asked me this in my YouTube comments the other day. Just read the announcement. It tells you when to expect them, which is after the campaign ends. Simple as that. When melee attack is over 10,000, melee power boosted. That is nice. It's very easy to get your melee power over 10k attack these days, and you get a 25% boost if you lack anything better as a back trait or EX skill, which I think is actually kind of difficult. There you go. You have other options as well that do kind of the same thing as this, that do offer kind of the same stats and everything. So, yeah. I would say pick this up, maxed out, just in case you ever do need it. Commander high mobility tags are okay. Stats are pretty much the same as the other ones. You're looking at about 1k melee and about 700 shot. but that's after a 30% change gear and you getting it to 99. So, okay, let's look at the X. When attacking with physical melee, okay, so boosting by a flat number, completely useless. Moving on. Commander, high mobility, melee attack is on the lower end. No, that is a battle axe fail right there. Alright, and the rifle. When attacking with physical, EX skill power boost. Very easy to attack with physical. You could absolutely slot this into a melee suit's gun slot or into a shot machine's gun sub slot, because it does not have the stats to be a primary weapon in my opinion. But that trait giving you a free 25% EX skill power boost is very nice. One thing to remember, because a lot of people will go, oh, but you know, I have this 4-star part that has it at 30%. Sure, do you actually have it at EX skill level 10? Probably don't. Its potential is higher, but it's more difficult to max. This is going to be extremely easy to max, and it has less potential. But most people have EX1, EX2, maybe EX3 for their skills. You're looking at probably at most, because 17% is typically the base, AX1 for something that goes to 30%. You're looking at minimum, or maximum, I should say, sorry, an 8% boost in damage, and at minimum, you're probably looking at, I don't know, 2 to 3. Either way, it's a nice option if you have the ability to slot it in there, you know? Not have anything better as a trait or EX skill. Okay, Strike Noir buffer. Pretty much, though. Okay, actually, thinking about that, anyways, I'll get to that in a second once I look over this, because I actually just went and tweaked or alterated some of the parts for the Kshatriya. That thing is scary now. It does so much damage from its backpack. It is a war crime. Love it. Okay. Anyway, Schwalbe Graze overall. Couple of interesting parts, I would say. I would look at the torso and the gun. I would put priority on the gun, and then the torso, and then the backpack if you're lacking something that gives you a melee boost in the back slot. Those three are very strong contenders for buying gold if you're able to, or tuning them up too if you're able to. Other than that, okay, gear, items, what do we got? Speed attribute, close combat, Zaku, Ace exclusive, amphibious, and for urban. As you can see, I'm out of Ace exclusive. This is really nice for me. Good timing. And nothing else of value. Okay. Let's hop on over to the gacha. We'll take a look at our 2 new suits, and then our 2 pilots. And then we're going to alteration. They alter the Gusion Rebake. That shield's going to be a monster. Yeah, it was already pretty top tier as a quick pinch yeet. Imagine what it's like now. We'll start with the Shadow Gundam. Very interesting. All of the revivals they brought back. Okay. Anyways, Shadow Gundam. German ninjas. Okay. Perform. Raise your speed by 20%, melee attack by 29. Alright, so it's a typical melee type awakening. That's not bad. Stat distribution wise, oh, this is going to have quite a bit of melee on it. So you have 1000 base, and then with the 1700 melee defense, what, 500 or so? 5 change? So you're looking at almost 1600 melee attack on this head for a ticketable 4-star part. That's really good for stats. The EX skill is really nothing to sneeze at either. It's your bog standard awakening that gives you a nice melee boost. Obviously, there's better available, but this is still, well, yeah, pretty good. Mobile fighter, close combat. 2 pretty solid tags, both raise your melee attack. Unfortunately, it doesn't have pro tag, but that is what other parts are for. Okay. Torso. The speed attribute, enemy EX skill power reduced by 30%. So this kind of just feeds into what I said before. It looks pretty much exactly like the torso that we had from the Schwalbe Graze. However, if I go back to EX1, which is what most people are going to have, it's 17%. So the other one gives you 25%, because you're more or less guaranteed to empty the welfare shop if you put a little bit of effort into the event. And this one gives you 17, and you'll have to either roll a bunch of horror to get it now, or slowly use 4-star pick tickets over a long period of time, or luck out on daily draws to get this to EX10. So you're already getting an 8% boost out of the box. I'm not saying that this part is bad, I would just say as a support tier part, I don't know if I would use tickets on it. I would definitely just rely on welfares to fill that gap for me, because they are definitely much easier to obtain. And it's quite common to see these kind of reductive permanent debuffs parts. Mobile fighter, close combat again, stat distribution. You're looking at about that's like 1400 melee attack on the torso. It's pretty good. Yeah, really nothing in the Shaw attack department though. So definitely like a very heavy melee oriented suit here, which is interesting to see because again, you know, it's a 4-star from the pick ticket pool. It's pretty rare to see these not be like, oh meh. They heard your video. God, I hope not. I hope they're not watching and creeping that hard. Storm and Drang. Rapidly spin yourself like a top as you embody Storm and Stress to Karma. Storm and Stress. That's got to be from the show. Low key, I watched Mobile Fighter G when I was extremely young. I can barely remember anything other than Shiny Finger. I got. And Domon, obviously, but I just remember the Gundam doing the whole finger bit. Whoops. B plus D. All right, 6 seconds. So this is really going to depend on how the animation is done, but like most others that lack a projectile component, this is going to be one of those things that locks you into an animation, and if the enemy hits you, they hit you, and you're just going to take a ton of damage, and there's nothing you can do. So, mobile fighter, nice. For forest. Like, in lore, that makes a ton of sense. I just don't like the tag very much. As you can see, it has very limited applications to begin with. You get a 1% boost, and it goes up to a whopping 3% if you meet certain map criterion. Most others give you a 5% for just existing. So, unless you have a very special need to use this tag for force, not that great. Mobile fighter's nice, and you can always sub-slot. So, set distribution-wise, 4,111 melee attack. Okay, not too shabby. With a 2,000 melee defense, that's pushing us to about, what, 6 change? So you're looking at like 4,700 melee attack on the arms. Not bad. Not at all. This suit is definitely on the higher end for the 4-star pick pool to melee, which is nice to see. They're kind of breaking away from the whole, you know, all the 4-stars kind of got to be the same. So we've had when you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, how many parts get added every single week in the gacha? We have very few good 4-star parts in relation to everything that's there. Because for each suit, maybe 1 to 2 parts on average at most are good, out of anywhere from 5 to 8 parts. So less than a quarter of these parts are actually, you know, really good, considered good. So, anyways, oh, whoops. Okay, no, I pressed the right button. We go. B plus B minus, attack with dual knives and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so pretty much what I said with the arms, this will lock you into an animation, and if you get hit, you get hit. So it really boils down to kind of how the animation works. As for the power distribution on this, like B is not bad, surprisingly, but it's not amazing, depending on the type of animation you get put into, so. Like, for example, right, last week, I'm pretty sure it was when I talked about the Legolas and its alternated bits, the shield. Thing is, when I was originally looking at that, I wasn't quite sure how the EX skill worked. After watching a video of it, and it literally just like fires a cannon straight forward that just hits a bunch of times, that is pretty convenient when you alterate it. But that is reliant on the animation. If you went and alterated something like, you know, Dagger Rush or whatever, it would not be nearly as useful, as you have to get very up close, very personal, and if the enemy so much as twitches while you're, reaching for the button, it's now a worthless skill. The bits are much easier to use because the AI is very exploitable. So, animations play kind of a big deal. Power matters, sure, but the animation matters a lot. It's no good if it can't hit the side of a barn. Okay. Man, this is some nice stats I'm seeing. And it's only a 5-farter too, so not bad. While mobile fire, melee power boosted. So you're getting your 5% boost from the mobile fighter tag, and then you're getting another % boost from this. Nice. And the stats for this are just like the, excuse me, just like the legs. So very beefy. Overall, I would say this is actually a very interesting suit. It brings a ton of melee power to the table, even though it is a 4-star suit, and it has some very interesting traits on it. So, nice. For a suit you can pick, not bad. No projectile netting. You are right on that. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't bring in that iron net. That would have been a pretty cool, like you throw it and it paralyzes on contact for like 4 or 5 seconds or something. That'd be cool. Not very useful, but cool. Oh man. Okay, G-Lucifer. Man, my allergies are screwing up right now. Last I checked, I have like this very light allergy. I can't remember if it's to dust. Anyways, my nose gets really clogged up, so. Okay, middle shooter job, EX skill power boosted. I've had to have my windows closed because it's really windy and cold, so I can't really get the circulation going. So there's been a lot of dust in the room, especially. I should actually show you guys the radiator for my my old CPU. If you're interested, just remind me at the end of this. That thing is middle shooter job, EX skill power boosted. Well, very easy to activate the middle shooter job, as you are either long shooter or middle shooter for shot builds, and doubly so, especially considering the recent Banager Lynx build project. Oh, this is slanted. The recent Banager build project was actually also a middle shooter. So, very interesting. Nice decision. The EX skill power boost, obviously, nice. Beyond that, stat distribution, what are we looking at here? Looking at what, 4,700 shot attack, which is really nice for a welfare head, or not a welfare head, a 4-star head. 4-head. High space, 4 firepower, 4 space. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, there's certain uses for it where it's really good, but outside of that, it's not that great. High firepower. Nice. Yeah, overall, I'd say this is actually a pretty decent part. It's got a nice trait, it's got nice stats for what it is, and, it's got one really nice tag, tag. Only really useful at all because of a trait it activates. Yeah, nice. And it's a mono eye. I swear that has no, bearing on whether or not I think this piece looks aesthetically amazing, but it's a mono eye. All right, moving on. Let's look at the torso. The awakening. We got the butterfly. Oh no. Temporary unleash your unit's latent power. Now shot attack boost, shot defense boost, speed boost. Okay, well, pretty much the same awakening as the head from the Shadow Gundam. It just gives you the shot equivalents. Not bad. 4 space high firepower. Stats 931, 227. You're looking at about 1600 shot attack, high firepower, Ace Awakening. Nice. Nice. I like you. Yeah. So far, both of these suits seem to be really bringing. Wow. Okay, well, there's another reason to have 4 space shooting power boosted. Okay. Nice. I don't like the force base tag, even though it gives you a shooting power boost. Because on average, you're losing like 4% of your primary stat, and you could probably get something equivalent from another part, but it's not a bad trait. Stat distribution is pretty much the exact same as the torso, actually. You're looking at about 1700. Oh, no, yeah, no, 1700 shot attack or so. Melee attack over 10k, which is, you know, their arms, that's crap. Force base mid-range. Okay, interesting. Nice trait, decent tags, nice stats. Skirt funnels, AD. So these aren't actually funnels. This is going to be a cutscene that uses the funnels. So just because it's called funnels, don't think it's suddenly an A-power beam funnel. It's raise your shot attack, man, blah 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 blah, and a heal. Not bad. That is some healthy leg action going on right there. And to boot, you also get the stupid nice looking funnels there on the back. So that's kind of a win-win. A big bulky spooky. Alright, I don't really like the tags. Stats, pretty much the same as the previous part. It's got a healthy EX skill. Okay. Nice. Those 4X traits have more significant buffs. Like, the thing is, right? It's because when you look at things like close combat, high firepower, commander, they give a 5% boost to a maximum of 2 things. And then you have the primary ones like Ace Exclusive and Pro Tag that give a 10% boost to a single thing. The 4 Space Tag and the 4 Urban and all those, the 4 tags, give a 1% boost to all of your stats, right? Versus just 1 or 2. So numerically, it makes sense. But in practice, it's not really that useful. Gain 1000 attack while in space. That doesn't scale very well, though. With power attribute, EX skill power boosted by 17%. So that's going to be 30% at max. Very easy to activate power attribute, and because it is a melee weapon with mess stats, you can sub-slot this on both a shot machine, a melee machine. You can even front slot this on a shot machine if you wanted to. Nice trait, easy to activate. As for tags, high firepower, force space. High firepower is nice, force space not so much unless you need it for the very limited traits that it activates. And the stats, nothing to write home about. So, okay. Well, that's that out of the way. Pilots. We'll look at Kacricon Cacooler. That name is legitimately ridiculous. As while I was saying it, all I could think about was the Team 4-star. Like I could not think of anything else. All range weapon magazine boost, to me that's useless. In general, I don't think it's very nice to, you know, boost your magazines by a whopping 14%. Doesn't really give much. Support, and his melee attack is like 700 something. So roll if you like him. Yeah, mid-range for urban area. His tags aren't even that useful. And Mirror Sheen Domon. 2370. That's higher than average, is it not? Let me double check here real quick. I got a fleet of pilots I can look at. I just grabbed size C cheeks. I think I have them on. Yeah, there. Come here, you. What are we looking at? Yeah. Okay, so he's definitely sitting on the extremely high end of melee attack for pilots. Nice. Let's go look at the rest of them here. While mobile fighter, all power boosted. Nice. So you're getting, wait, 30%? Okay, yeah. long and short, if you lack a build project melee pilot, get this one. Yeah. Is this Domon better than the other ones non-altered? Yeah. He has an amazing part trait, very nice word tag selection, and great offensive stats. There's some serious fighter G bias going on. Okay, well, with that all out of the way, let's go look at the event blueprints. Then we'll hobble on over to alterations. And then I'll hop into bed. Sounds like a good plan to me. Alright, oh, Twitter videos too. Alright, we got the Earth 3, Maris, and the X Divider. And then there's the Nu-Zeon, the F91, Alvaron H3 Fortress, and Savior. Okay. Be nice to get another copy of the sword because I really like the colony drop, but I'm definitely alterating it. Okay. All that capital. Yeah, actually, it took me a long time to get it all back up. I actually burned almost all of it doing the first battle circuit I really invested myself into. And that was the other reason I didn't really want to continue doing the battle circuits, is because it took just so much resources to get into, because I really haven't been improving my parts or anything. Like, I have a few I use, and outside of that, I don't really do it. Alright, so let's throw you into the meat grinder here, my friend, and we'll look at what actually comes out the other end later. Alright. So I got one of those. I'll worry about that later. Anyways. Yeah, it is limited time. Okay. So, we'll start with the Gusion, whatever. After that, we'll look at the Nu-Zeon, the F91. I like this order of operations. Okay. Well, heavy armor EX skill power boosted and physical range weapon magazine power. Okay. I'm going to do that little speech, because every time I see the two part traits, it comes back to mind. Anyways, long and short. For the majority of players, they aren't doing the battle circuit to a very high degree. You can actually just see that with the completion rates in battle circuit. I think it's like 50% or less. So, anyways, not all of us have a ton of alteration tools or badges with which to alterate our parts. So when you're looking at this, you should be pretty selective, in my opinion at least, on what you do and not invest in. Things that have a bad trait or EX skill, I say you don't invest in, because that is a large reason as to why you would do this, other than the stats, and having a net loss in any part of it really cripples you when you have a limited amount of the resources. So I just say play it careful, only invest in the absolute best stuff you can. But of course, if you're sitting on like an absolute friggin' boatload of alteration tools and stuff, don't listen to me. Okay. Anyways, physical range weapon magazine boost. Like I said, I don't think that's a very useful trait. It only affects one type of weapon. The magazine boost itself really isn't substantial, because, you know, for example, if I'm using Strike Noir backpack, I got 8 shots, 25% more. I have what, like 10 shots? Woo! Not really a game changer. Typically things die within 1 to 2 shots. The other one though, while heavy armor EX skill power boosted by 35%, is very nice. So, you know, up to you. Stats, of course, the stats are going to be a lot better than they originally were. I think with alteration, most of these 4-star pick ticket parts approach like base Sokai tier, and I say most, because not all of them. With power attribute, EX skill damage output boost by 300. Wow, that is useless unless you're using something that has an extremely high hit count and low damage. Beam funnels. With axe category equipped, shooting damage taken reduced by a flat number. That's one of those things where I look at it and go, wow, don't do this. Okay, oops. Let's look at the arms. Defender job, melee damage taken reduced by 35. Flat numbers, never good. Back parts EX skill power boosted by 35%. That is good. This is one of those cases where you're alterating a part to get a good trait out of it. I don't think you should do it, frankly. You should have 2 good traits, not 1. But again, to you. Legs. Halberd, pushed up to B+. Unleash a barrage of attacks with the halberd, raise your melee attack. This falls into what I said before. It's going to be a melee type non-cutscene. It's going to lock you into an animation. If you whiff, you whiff, and if you don't, well, you'll do damage. But, you know, there's a good chance you're going to whiff. Let's be real. So, really, all the alteration comes down to is me looking more or less at what it gets in the Trader EX skill slot. Because word tags are irrelevant at this stage, because if you're alterating parts, you most likely have the ability to sub-slot them and get the tags you want out of it. And we all know the stats are already going to be a huge boon. If you're already using the part, you're going to alterate it no matter what. So, Halberd, Defender Job. Job gauge increase boosted by 17%, and Defender Job EX skill power boosted by 35%. Currently, job gauge and job license abilities really aren't that great. They have said that we are going to get a job license overhaul and what they do relatively soonish, whenever the next patch is, if I remember correctly. So this may become more relevant later. But as of right now, job gauges are kind of, who the hell cares? EX skill power boost, like I said before, nice, and there are some very powerful defenders in the list of what's available. So, pretty much if they make job license abilities, or job licenses in general, like make the gauge worth boosting, maybe. But even then, you don't really have great stats on this, so I don't really think it'd be worth throwing a lot into. Like, it caps out at 9.9, but we do have melee weapons that break 10k now, so each player to their own, pretty much. If you don't use a defender as your main pilot for whatever suit this would be using, it's not worth it. So, there's a lot of caveats to these parts. Oh, did I miss the back? Maybe I missed the back. Oh yeah, I did. Don't mind me. I'm a big dumb. Alright. Heal, melee defense boost, S power. Like, you're gonna hit like a truck with this EX skill. But then you just get a defensive boost. And I don't think change gear calculates in awakened stat differences. So you'd only be getting the defensive boost on this. You wouldn't be getting the equivalent offensive boost as well. So, yeah. If you like the backpack, like the cutscene animation, sure, yes. But overall, I think there's much better to invest your materials on. Alright, weapon. When armor is 40% or more, shooting damage at a flat number is useless. When armor is 60% or more, job gauge increase boost. I've already gone over job gauge increase, not going to do it again. Stats are what you'd expect pretty much from a gun that was very poor to begin with. And the tags, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. The big kahuna. The Yeet Shield. So to begin with, the shield is considered one of the best in-slot weapons for melee builds because it has an excessively low cooldown, it flies across the map very quickly, and it hits like 3 trucks. And this is before alteration. So now, given the ability to boost the output of such a dangerous tool, I would do it. It's really hard. An investment. Okay, moving on. Like, legit, actually, that EX skill is ridiculous on melee. So, yeah, the Yeet Shield of Doom is summing it very nicely. It flies hard, hits harder. Okay. Is the shield worth it? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The thing is, Hitoshi, right? The Yeet Shield has been good for literally since it came out. Because it's very hard to find something that has an extremely low cooldown in the melee department that's a projectile that hits hard. So you kind of hit like a holy trinity of things, and it just overlapped to create this really excellent part. Especially considering the shield slot is not very competitive on melee builds. So there's really not much else you'd want to slot in there unless you have something really good from a Sokai. So, yeah. Where's my X1 chest? How about we just get the crossbone back? Where's my Strike Noir altar? Alright, F91. Let's get cracking on this build project. MEPE Rush B plus S. Nice. Melee attack boost by 39%. Nice. Okay. So this part was already amazing before the, yeah. No, I would say this is nice. It already has a stupid amount of melee attack too, because you're looking at like, what, 3,500 melee attack on this head? You get a really nice cutscene EX skill on here that has amazing pierce and damage, gives you a melee buff, and you have pro tag and high firepower, best melee tag you could ask for, and a very nice supplementary damage tag. So, yeah, the build projects are always kind of silly. The Mega Machine Cannon. Fires, yeah, you can move freely while shooting. Something to take note, alterated parts do have 8 magazine as a base standard. So if you only have EX1 of this part, you will still find it to be very nice as you still get a lot of shots. Stats are crazy good. You're looking at, like, what, that's 4,200 plus, it's actually 4,400 melee attack and 3,300 shot attack on that torso, like when you completely cap her out. But before that, you're still looking at something like, what, that's 2,400 melee attack? Yeah, oh, nice part. I don't like the Federation tag, but again, if you're altering parts, you should have the ability to sort your word tags out by now. A plus Pierce and B plus Power. Yep. The problem is, right, is this is pretty much a direct competitor to the crossbone chest that we already have. That was a welfare, mind you. And because not only is it much easier to get that to EX10, but it hits extremely hard even like without this alteration crap. So in terms of value, arguably that one's better. It doesn't give you as many stats, but you don't have to roll a bunch of Haro to get it. So, nice part. Moving on. Arms. While Federation, melee power boosted, and head parts EX skill power boosted. Wow, those arms literally built for this suit. Nice. Okay. Chest doesn't seem to hit as hard as the back, feels more Vulcan-y. Yeah, like that's the thing, right? Is I keep trying to say B power isn't like the be all end all because it depends on how the skill utilizes it. Things like the crossbone chest, right? The welfare one, it does way more damage than it should, right? The Strike Noir hits like a truck, but you know, crossbone chest does stupid amounts of damage, and they're both the same power rating. Should be anyways. And then you have things like the machine cannon chest from this suit, where it also has B plus power, but it doesn't hit nearly as hard as its competitors do. So it's just a nice stat stick paired with a decent magazine skill. So, you know, if you have a F91 lying around and you have the ability to invest in it, stupid stats. Stupido. Yeah, more arms that break the 10k barrier. But these are integrated arms, so you do take 2 slots up with this. While Federation, melee power boost, head part CX skill power boost, yep. It's a solid part. Alterating it gives you 2 very powerful part traits as long as you have Federation. Remember, Federation is a melee offensive subtag, so it does give you that extra melee attack. Nice, nice. My firepower should be both, right? Yeah, melee and shot attack by 5%, not just melee. So, okay. With Saber category equipped, enemy EX skill power reduced. I don't really like investing alteration tools into support type, so with speed attribute, shooting power boosted. Solid. Very easy to get speed, and, 35%, nice. Don't have to say anything about the stats. Protag, high firepower again. Now the thing is, right, this suit is primarily a melee suit first, shot second. So if you're using these legs in another build, absolutely. But then, the first trait, not that great. I would say pass on this if you're limited on this, or you want to be picky about what you're investing in. The VSBR DA- cutscene. Nice. You can move while firing. Neat. Magazine type skill, A- power. On paper, sounds like it does very good. Really depends on application and practice, unfortunately. Stats, again, it's a alterated build project, so. Beam Saber. While melee attack is 15k or over, EX skill power boost, very easy to trigger. While protag, melee power boosted, very easy to trigger. I would say this is a decent part to invest into. Yeah, again, it's a lot like the axe from the Gusion. It's just sub 10k, but it does bring very powerful, consistent traits to the table. The axe did, and you do get at least one really good tag out of it for melee. The sub-tag federation depends on your build. Beam rifle. What's the point of adding alteration parts for the build project suits? One, make them stronger, because if you just alterate like Sokai parts and stuff, why would people do build projects anymore? And two, you want people to roll the gacha to do the build projects, which feeds into the first point. So it all really boils down to, if they didn't alterate the build project parts, build project suits would quickly become obsolete. No one would ever do build projects anymore, other than for the occasional pilot that they really wanted, and that would be that. Yeah. Beam rifle. With protag, enemy shooting power reduced, blah, and with speed power, shooting power boost. Second trait, good. First trait, not so much. Protag, high firepower. It's a gun. I don't think I would invest in this personally. Oh. Zuka. Shot damage raised 10%, EX skill power boost. Okay, so first trait, as I've said multiple times across my videos, it reduces its flexibility because you can now only use it in certain situations. You can't use this in one-on-one arena. You can no longer use this in multi-missions that only have one enemy, etc., etc. The second trait, though, where you get the EX skill power boost, you do take 10% extra shot damage, which is a fair trade-off at the end of the day. Just don't get hit. I don't like that first trait very much, though, but that is up to each person to decide whether or not they like it. Because being able to reduce cooldowns by 50% once can be useful depending on how you do your build. And obviously stats are stats. They're not actually that amazing, so up to you. Build parts are stronger than Sokai and permanent parts. There's no need for alteration. Yeah, that makes sense until you remember that these Sokai limited suits are getting alterated, meaning they are now better than build project parts. Okay, and Nu-Zeon, the OG, so to speak, build project. Well, Ace exclusive, EX skill power boosted with power attribute, enemy shooting power reduced. Not so much a fan of that. Again, I don't really like the whole supporter boost on itself, which is a shame. It opened up with a really good part trait. Alteration kind of crapped the bed on this part, unfortunately. So, what can you do? Torso. Z-Beam, A-D. Nice, 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 nice. Ace exclusive, high firepower tags. Yeah, this suit was a beast when it first came out, because this was before we had the the 6-star and the sub-slotting. So having a part that actually had like the best tags for your desired suit was like the dream. And this suit was the dream. And then, you know, like, what, 3 months later, they bring out the sub-slotting and immediately reduce... No, it wasn't even 3 months. It was like a month later. And they removed any advantage having this suit actually had. Still a really nice suit, though. Yeah, no, it's A- power skill. Again, power does not always necessarily reflect what it actually does. It's not a cutscene EX or anything like that, so that's something that it really depends on how it actually interacts. With blade category, shooting power boosted. Very easy to get a blade weapon in this game, so that's pretty much a freebie. Ranged weapons EX skill power boosted. That one's a little bit more on the S side because that requires your main hand weapon, your gun, to have an EX skill on it. So it's a situational. And because it doesn't affect all EX skills, I'm not really such a fan of this part. I do like the first trait, and I don't so much like the second. Actually, I'm really curious. What stats does the head get to completely capped out? Okay, 8-5. Legs. With power attribute, shooting crit rate boost. Talked about this already. With blade category equipped, EX skill power boost. Not bad. Okay. Not so much a fan of the first trait. Nice fan of the second trait. Again, if you want to invest into a crit build, don't let anyone stop you. No, I just don't think it's a good idea. A backpack. The terrible funnels. A plus D. 9 seconds. You can move freely while it's active. So this looks like one of the very few A power actual beam funnels. Might be good, might not be good. Again, it's one of those things that really depends on its application. Remember, my major beef with funnels in general is that they're not aggressive enough to actually make it worthwhile, right? If you look at the new funnels, right, the High Nu Verka, and you look at its funnels, it got an alteration recently. The problem is the funnels still don't shoot that often. They shoot the same amount they did before. But even though it has increased damage, it's not really, in my opinion, being used to its max potential. Right? And then I look at things like the Kshatriya, where it has funnels, where each individual shot is doing the same amount of damage as the new, but it fires like 6 times as often. Because it just has a stupid amount of funnels, right? Each funnel fires a certain amount of times per thing. So the amount of funnels you have more or less directly relates to how much damage you're doing with these damn things. So then you have the Moon Gundam, which just doesn't care and just throws giant slabs of metal at your enemy and just does stupid damage. Yeah, these only have 4 funnels, so if this had more, if this had like 10 funnels on it, I'd say this might be worth it. They look really cool, in my opinion, but this is not really worth investing into because funnels aren't aggressive enough and they're not properly balanced based on how many funnels you have, so yeah, real shame. Let's look at, I want to look at the Axis last. The Zeonic Sword Bowgun mode, A+, B+. Cool. This kind of falls into, again, just because it has B+ power doesn't mean it's amazing. This is not a cutscene EX skill from what I can see here. Maybe it is. But if it is, cool. If it's not, But then again, a cutscene with only B+ power doesn't seem right. So I'm going to assume it's not a cutscene. Meh. Even stats, like it's not top tier, which I find really weird, frankly. Because typically when you have a build project part and it gets alterated, you'd expect it to break 10k. This one does not. Got outdone by Sokai parts. Interesting. Anyways, let's look at the Axis. This is S rank. Oh, it's A+. Okay, they did not have the guts to push this to S, which is good. If you've ever used this skill, it's a real interesting ability. I have it on my main suit. Actually, it's like my favorite thing to finish off a match with if I can, because its range is stupid huge, and it does do a significant amount of damage on impact. So it hits twice, right? One on impact and one on blast wave. So it's quite savage. I want to upgrade it because it's the only part I have that can be up. Actually, no, I'm gonna wait because I have a feeling the Kshatriya is gonna have an alteration soon. Oh, that'll be nice. Anyways, maybe I'll still do this because this is limited time. Play it by ear. Anyways, so yeah, overall, the Hien Nu didn't actually see like an amazing gain from this. Like it saw a stat gain for sure, but overall, it didn't really see like a huge boon, you know? So, neat. Anyways, Twitter videos. Let's go take a look at those, shall we? Let's see, they should both be on the Twitter now, right? There's the shadow. There's the not shadow. Cool. All right, let's change over to my web browser. Here's my desktop. Yeah, it still works. All right. So we'll look at shadow first. Yeah. Oi. There we go. The leg. Oh, yeah, it's kind of a long cutscene to lock yourself into. That's... What did I just watch? What the heck was that? What? Okay, that's interesting. I don't really know how much use that'll actually be. Oh boy. Alright, let's look at G-Lucy. Ooh, I like that awakening a lot. Oh, that looked really cool. Holy crap. I like that suit a lot. That was really cool. That was really cool. I liked all of those skills. Play that again. Yeah, okay, sure. I'll play the G-Lucy one more time. Where did I put it? Here, yeah. Hear it? That is such a cool awakening. I love that effect. And then this is just so overkill. Oh, man. I want that entire suit. That was really cool. That was really cool. I'm getting that whole suit. I knew those pick tickets would be used for something. Okay. Well, gentlemen, my GBG tab. Here you are. All right. So with that, I think that's everything. Yeah, that actually should be it. I've gone over the suits. Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out, guys. As always, real fun. Yeah, I don't really have any other video plans for the remainder of this week. So, yeah, I'll probably see you guys on the Sunday for the next content drop. Now, remember, December is friggin' weird. We have 2 standard weeks. So this week is a standard, next week should be a standard, and then we'll have the Battle Festival standard, and then the last week will be Sokai. So that means a standard week is going to be when Christmas hits, And if you remember last year, when Christmas came, we had a special banner. I have a feeling it'll happen this year as well. You never know. Maybe they're just saving it and they're actually going to completely screw with us and they're just going to do like a triple Sokai week or something. Who the heck knows? But do remember, we do have Christmas. We do have New Year's. Hold on to all the horror you can. It's going to be a bumpy ride, I figure. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys. If you want, like the video, all that fun stuff. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'm done my shilling. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next one.